welcome you to the conversation segment of the Signature Show this Sunday. You know that last Sunday, we raised the challenge, the prospect indeed, of mass hunger in Nigeria. Some people have been alarmed about that story, but we used statistics from the World Bank, from the National Bureau of Statistics, to illustrate the looming danger of more Nigerians falling into hunger. This afternoon, I'm going to speak with a gentleman who seems to wear the shoes, really, and therefore he knows where it pinches. My guest this afternoon is Sadiq Daware. Sadiq Daware is the national chairman, Northeast Commodity Association, NECAS. Sadiq, you're welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much. Nice meeting you.
It's a pleasure. Now, as I said, last week we ran a story. Prospect of mass hunger in Nigeria. You are the chairman of the Northeast Commodity Association. By that commodity, I want to believe that will include food items, that will include maybe cotton, that will include farm products. Why is food getting out of the reach of the average Nigerian family?
Yes, there is an anticipation that we may face crisis. I mean, food crisis in Nigeria, as stated by development partners and most critical holders like the FAO, like the World Bank, and not only Nigeria, but the prediction cut across many countries of the world. However, we will lay our emphasis on Nigeria. Being a leader of an association that have competitive advantage of producing most food items like rice, maize, sorghum, soybeans, cotton, and what have you. We started this program sometime 7 years back, and I'm happy to announce to our listeners today that on our platform, we have over 500,000 farmers that have registered and engaged in mass production. Before going further, we need to appreciate the effort of the present administration. Coming on place, they have in a very good intention, close Nigerian borders, to support local production with a very good intention. And it has to some extent yielded an excellent result from the beginning. Going further, that every Nigerian today knew very well that the only way out for us is to engage in agriculture, particularly crop production, so that we can feed the nation, and if we have surplus, we can be able to export out of Nigeria. It is then and there that we can answer our name as the giant of Africa. However, in recent times, price of food items have started shooting up. And we are not surprised because we have over a year, considering the statistics given by the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, the World Food Organizations, that there is an anticipation that there will be food crisis in Nigeria and most countries of the world. Not because of anything, but because the high cost of inputs. Because anytime you are producing, then there must be an input that you use during the course of production. We use certified seed to improve our production. We use good fertilizer. We use herbicide. Today, the cost of those inputs is alarming. That a liter of herbicide that cost 1,200 naira per liter last year, today costs up to 4,800 naira. And mind you that the high cost of input is a recipe for hunger, because a farmer, a smallholder farmer, has to sell all what he produced the previous year so that he can be able to buy input to support his production this year. So it is not a surprise thing. We have also alerted the government and all stakeholders in the agri sector. But however, it is up to the government and the stakeholders. We have way out. But If care is not taken, what we have started seeing today is just a tip of an iceberg.
I'm alarmed by you saying that it's a tip of the iceberg, because a number of families are already eating from as scavengers, and our population of scavengers is increasing every day. Anyway, you said there could be a way out. Apart from the input, cost of input, is there another thing causing, let me see, go to the market. It is season of new yams. It is season of new potatoes. I don't know how it happened. Tomatoes are in the market are plenty this season. Yet, fish, yet you can't buy them. As a matter of truth, it is the upper class, pardon me, like you, who can still drive to the market and buy as you used to buy. Market women, mothers, go to the market, roam around the market, and go home with their 2,000, with their 3,000, because the 2,000 or 3,000 cannot buy anything for their families. Why is the cost still high apart from input? Is there another thing causing it?
This situation we are seeing today has not just happened or appeared overnight. It has been looming for the past 7 years. If not because of the intervention of the federal government, things would have been worse for the last 3-4 years. You are aware that His Excellency the President has directed the Central Bank of Nigeria to support farmers by providing them with loan facility to support their production, by funding industries that can process and add value. To some extent, it has helped. But today, 2017, in fact, even 2022, from 2021 dry season, the government has not funded any program on the agri sector, particularly in the areas of production. And that is why what we are witnessing today. For the past 3-4 years, there are similar issues, but to some extent, government is supporting production. We are seeing the price of agro input to some extent is stable. A smallholder farmer can sell 1-2 of his bags of maize or rice. He can go to the market and buy agro input to support his production. Today, those that have 5-10 bags can sell them, yet they cannot get input that can be able to support 1 hectare of land, to cultivate 1 hectare of land. So this is a very big issue that government need to urgently address. We are aware that the government to some extent has injected a lot of money. But however, hunger is a very big issue. If we allow ourselves to face this anticipated crisis, if it is then that Nigerian will know crisis. God forbid, we are not praying for it. But once you see something is alarming, then you need to have a productive measure to make sure that you avert that, or else you fall into crisis.
In specifics, government intervention. In which area should government intervene now?
As quickly as possible, government need to support local production of agro inputs. Larger percentage of input you are seeing today in Nigeria, herbicide, insecticide, is imported from China, imported from India. And you know the most amazing part of it is that 97% of this is water content. You can imagine importing water from China, from India, to bring into Nigeria, while the government closed down border for the importation of food and other related commodities. Only of recent that the government has relaxed that. But the first thing to do is that the input we are talking about has to be manufactured locally so that we can get value of what we are producing. Secondly, there is a memorandum of understanding between the Nigerian government and Morocco at the inception of its administration to support fertilizer production in Nigeria. Today, at that time, we were buying fertilizer at 1,500 naira per bag. It's clearly written on the bag that this bag of 50 kg NPK costs 5,500. For every person that have sold this fertilizer above this price is an offense. At the inception of this administration, today, the same bag of fertilizer is costing 24,000 naira. I don't know what is happening. We are seeing factories of fertilizer, blending plants coming up, but yet the price is still going out. Are we not getting the raw materials from Morocco any longer? Are our fertilizer producers not patriotic enough to support the present administration? We are aware that a lot of money has been set aside to support their own businesses. Has that money been withdrawn now, or it is still in circulation? If it is in circulation, then they should be patriotic enough to make sure that fertilizer sold at affordable price to our farmers. Government need to also to come in addition to support the fertilizer blenders, to also subsidize the cost of fertilizer, because cost of fertilizer can affect the cost of commodity at the end of the day. You can imagine somebody buying a bag of fertilizer at 5,500 naira, selling a bag of maize at 12,000 naira. Today, the same bag of fertilizer costs 24,000 naira, and there's no appreciable increment
in the cost of his
bag of maize. So he can be able to sell like 10 bags of maize to only buy 5 bags of fertilizer. Do you think this type of business is sustainable? No, it's not. So we are calling on the government to please, as a matter of urgency, support local producers, support manufacturers of the agro input, so that we will avert the looming crisis that we are facing.
Does transportation content aspect of this entire chain, do you think it affects the cost of food in the market?
Certainly, yes. Yes, the cost of transportation also affects the price of food items. You are aware that most of these agro inputs, the rice, maize, they used to take it from villages down to the cities, down to milling factories or whatever. And diesel today costs very high. So the high cost of transportation can reflect in the cost of commodity for the end user. So what we are witnessing today is the multiple effect of a lot of issues. Issues like the transportation, issues like the cost of agro inputs, issue of insecurity. Today, as I'm talking to you, for the past 2 weeks, we have been witnessing a lot of floods across the country, right from Maiduguri, Borno State, to Sokoto. Every part of North that has been producing food for our local consumption has been ravaged by floods. So, government, I am happy that His Excellency the President has sympathized with the people that have incurred a lot of loss at the result of this flood. But sympathizing a lot cannot put food into people's table. That we need them to also go beyond sympathizing Nigerians by providing them with support.
Now, some people have said the war in Ukraine is affecting cost of food in Nigeria. I know that what comes from Ukraine is essentially wheat into Nigeria, into a number of African countries. But I also know that Nigeria has a capacity for production of wheat. Don't we have it?
We have it, of course.
What is the challenge? And we have the land mass, we have the population. Why are we not able to produce enough wheat to service our needs?
You see, people are just anticipating that there will be problem with the crisis in Ukraine. But let's wait for it to come. Ukraine crisis have just started recently, and people are shouting. Issue of wheat production, Nigeria has been spending a hell of money importing wheat. But the local production has to be planned. Before you start thinking of producing wheat, you first of all have to know how to produce a certified seed first. Wheat is not something that you wake up one day, you go to the market and start looking for a certified seed. There has to be plan for that. you need to know what is your requirement. What is the hectares of land that you need to produce number of tonnage of wheat. So this thing has to be planned over a period of time. You cannot just wake up one day. So government need to now identify areas that have potentials of producing wheat. Yes, we have comparative advantage of producing variety of commodities across the country. But government need to first of all look at how can we be able to multiply seed that can be provided to our farmers for local production. The second phase is that how can we do we have land? Is the land prepared enough to support local production of wheat? Then we talk about input that is required, the certified seed, the fertilizer, the herbicide. Then we think of about the post-harvest losses and whatever. Then the Nigeria can say that yes, we are producing wheat that we are consuming in this country. Issue of Ukraine have just started less than a year. Even if you are bringing wheat from Ukraine, at least the last batch that's supposed to come have not even reached Nigeria because you have seen crisis and you started shouting. Please, Nigeria, we are blessed with a lot of resources. We have the land, we have the water, we have good climate condition. Our people are very hardworking. So we can be able to produce enough for this country. And if we have excess, we can be able to export to other countries that requires.
Now that reminds me of what the Food and Agriculture Organization, the latest report, said that one of the challenges Nigeria has in its food production is poor land management and the disconnect between the research institutions and the farmer. Let's take land management. How does the national agencies, the government agencies, public agencies, with that knowledge, how do they help your members, the farmers, in teaching them, guiding them into effective land management?
I think the last set of extension agents across the country that have received good training from World Bank, that have received good training from African development banks, most of them have either retired or at the verge of retirement. So we at the moment don't have enough qualified extension service providers in this country that can support our farmers. One that can give them good training on best agronomic practice, that can also help farmers in addressing certain issues. We in the NECAS, in the Northeast Commodity Association, last 3 years, we have made a survey, identify extension officers who are in the public service. We identify those that have retired but are still active in doing the business. We put them on our pool. We realize that the ratio of number of farmers to an extension officers is nothing to write home about. So government need to also, as a matter of urgency, train extension officers, provide them with logistics. Last 2 years, when we received loan from Central Bank under Anchor Borrowers program, using our logistics component, we have bought motorcycles, train our extension officers, provide them with these motorcycles so that they can move from one place to another to train farmers and whatever. People were surprised that the last time they have seen this type of project was 30 years ago. So what are we doing? So we need to leverage on what is happening, bring more people that have interest on extension services, train them, provide them with logistics, and you will see wonders. Because our farmers are very obedient, that whenever they see a difference in their output, they will normally concentrate and listen to our extension officers. And the only way we can compete favorably with other farmers across the world is to make sure that the extension officers are trained and retrained so that they can match with what is happening globally.
You just hinted at getting the extension workers to train. Let's look at research institutes. Grains, appropriate grains, the right quality. For those producing cassava, appropriate stems. These are outcomes of research. What is the chain? What is the relationship between these research institutes and your members, how do they get information across to you?
These extension officers I'm talking about, they are the middlemen. They are the people that stand between the research institutes and a smallholder farmer. Whenever they are trained and retrained and they are availed with information on new variety or new product, it is then that they can get information to the smallholder farmers. When that chain is whatever the research institute is doing, if they don't have people that can convey the message to the smallholder farmer, it will not yield any result. Some of the research institutes are doing excellently well. We have improved variety of many crops and commodities that have increased in yield. Before now, a ton per hectare of an output is nothing to show. But today, it is obvious that people can get much more yield using good variety that comes out from research institute. So the issue of research institute, issue of supporting extension officers so that our farmers to be well informed is what we need to concentrate on now.
Sadiq, my last question for us this afternoon. What can you tell the ordinary Nigerian watching us in respect of whether we have food enough to eat or not?
Yes, we have food across the country. If you go to the market today, it's not that you won't find grains. It's not that you won't find tuber of yams. It's not that you won't find tomatoes. Why? The only problem is that they are costly. So, our middlemen should please be patriotic. That a situation we are in now is not something that you can have 2-3 times profit of what you are doing your business with. You should be a Nigerian and be patriotic enough to please have a little margin on what can sustain you. If we have crisis in Nigeria, it will virtually affect everybody. We have enough food. Government should support so that we will not exhaust what we have without producing the other one, so that at least the next year we will also have enough. We need support from the government to continually support local production. We need our people, particularly the middlemen, to be patriotic enough. We also need the millers who the government supported to please not hold food items over a period of time. What you have bought, please process it now, send it to the market so that ordinary Nigerian can buy and eat.
Well, Sadiq Daware, I want to thank you for coming to the conversation.
Thank you very much, Pa.
Well, in the past 30 minutes, I've been conversing with Sadiq Daware. You know that this conversation never ends. Week after week, we talk to those who know, and we enlighten ourselves. And my name never changes. Remains Mwabos Njoko. Good afternoon.